If you're going to comment on my record, I would at least have you refer to it. Excuse me. Excuse me. We're not.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. I'm not a student in your classroom. Please let me respond, okay?
George, you famously said when you were governor that you enjoyed knocking Democrats' soft teeth down their whiny throats. And you didn't say it with a smile either. That's not what it's going to take to fix Washington.
Senator, you are a liar. You are lying to the people of the state of Ohio. You are falsely attacking me, and I won't stand for it.
Senate debates getting heated in these final days. We're back now with our roundtable. And George, well, before I come to you, I want to put up this map showing 16 toss-up races right now for the Senate, reminding everyone if President Obama wins, the Republicans need to pick up 4 Senate seats to get control. If Governor Romney wins, they need to pick up 3. And this thing is completely up for grabs right now.
Yeah, we often say all politics is local. This year, maybe no politics is local. Maybe there's going to be a national trend and all the marginal states tip the same way they did in 1982 and some other years. No one knows at this point. But the Republicans going in, defending only 10 seats, attacking 23, it should have been easier for them than this.
One of the questions, Andrew Sullivan, is how much there's so much discussion, it turns out, of rape in these Senate races. Both Todd Akin and Richard Murdoch now in the last week will complicate the Republicans' efforts to get control.
Well, yeah, and that's what's interesting about after the election. Will the Republicans interpret their results in the Senate as a function of their moving way far to the fundamentalist right, which is the center of the party at this point? And if they interpret that, then there might be hope. I mean, I'm supporting Obama because I want to save the Republican Party from being completely insane. That's where I'm going. But and I think if they're defeated, if people like Akin and Murdoch, well, with any luck, you'll get sane at some point. But if Murdoch and Akin are the lead stories, they lose.
But it's not the only stories. I want to go to Nicolle Wallace on this because Akin may cost Republicans a Senate seat in Missouri, but there is this Senate seat in Connecticut, Linda McMahon coming on.
Right, and here you have someone who's so not crazy. She's actually running an ad that says, vote for Obama and vote for me. And I believe she's the only Republican Senate candidate running that ad. And I understand from folks who are involved in the Senate races at a national level that it's working and has had the effect of tightening her race, which has remained pretty tight the whole time. The other thing about Connecticut is when our lights go out, they stay out. It's like, you know, the dark ages, literally. So this may be a state where we can actually evaluate and examine after the fact the ground game, because it's possible that people in Connecticut won't see very many TV ads.
Thanks to the hurricane. But, you know, I've interviewed both Todd Akin and Richard Murdoch, and here's the thing. Neither of them I don't like the words crazy and insane to describe people who are actually trying to put themselves forward to run for public office and represent people, because both of them are speaking to constituencies in their states, in Missouri and Indiana, who respond to what they say, who believe that life begins at conception. So they don't think what Richard Murdoch said was crazy. They're not so crazy. They didn't like what Akin said about women's bodies shutting down, but they were willing to forgive him for it. And that's why those races are closer.
And he's not out of it. Right
Akin is not out of it, and Murdoch is not out of it. And you may disagree, but I'm talking about what it takes to get Senate candidates elected in these conservative states.
I'm just saying on the principles, they deny that evolution takes place. I think that puts you in a crazy category.
Which race are you watching?
Look, I'm in Chicago, so I'm watching that Indiana race because it's on our TV, and it's surprisingly close. I would have never thought that the Democrat had a chance at that seat. But I think George's insight is really the strongest one to think here, that we've got a bunch of races. They're all close. You don't know what's going to happen. They aren't independent. I think George's insight that what happens at the national level is probably going to carry over on the final momentum is true.
So that could affect Georgia, especially the races in places like Virginia, Montana, North Dakota, where Republican candidates had been behind, but there has been some momentum for Governor Romney.
I would also pick Wisconsin for the following reason. In 2010, when the country moved to the right, no state moved more emphatically to the right than Wisconsin. Then they tried the public employees unions, to recall the governor. And the governor, to fight that, created a huge infrastructure that stayed in place. Now, Wisconsin has voted Democratic in 5 consecutive presidential elections. Bush lost it by 0.2% and 0.4 in 2004, but 5 straight times. And this could be the year when the Republicans win there. Now, Tammy Baldwin, very liberal Democrat. Tommy Thompson, fairly conservative Republican. They run negative campaigns. The whole state hates both of them at this point, as far as you can tell. But therefore, neutralizing their negatives, this may be the real bellwether.